Hey, freaks, what's going on? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox is an amazing company where you can get healthy, delicious, and nutritious snacks that have no high fructose corn syrup, no added sugar, no preservatives, no chemicals. It's just all natural shit. And it tastes great. They have some amazing stuff: sriracha cashews, blueberry almonds. They have these things called black sesame seed clusters that are unbelievable. Taj Mahal nut mix, just some great stuff. And if you go to naturebox.com, use the coupon code in the description box below at checkout, you'll save $10 off your first box. It's a great deal. Definitely take advantage of that. We're also brought to you by Amazon.com. With the holiday season quickly, here. Oops. It's a great way to help the podcast out. Go to lookingbackpodcast.weebly.com. That link is in the description box as well. And click the Amazon banner. And out of whatever you buy, they send back a percentage of what you spend, and it's a great way to help the podcast out. So with that, commercials are over, under 2 minutes. Awesome. And we're going to revamp an older series and make it better. We can rebuild it. We have the technology, or something like that. Here we go. Buckle up, bitches. It's on. Oh, dear sweet baby Jesus. Welcome to, welcome to another episode of Looking Back. We're revamping an older series, one of the first series that I did. I'm just in a giddy mood, so get ready. We're revamping an older series that I did when I first started. I don't know, I just wanted to redo it. I wasn't too happy with it. So, so we're going to redo it. Make it more enjoyable, I guess. Something like that. Yeah. Um, for those that know me, I'm a huge history nut. And one of the first history things that I got into was Rome and ancient Rome, especially. I'm a huge fan of just that whole era. So I wanted to do the series, and I did. And I don't know. I just went back and listened to it, and let's just say it needed some improvement. So I'm just going to do the whole series over. I don't know how many parts this is going to be. I honestly don't know how long this is going to be, each episode, but I'll try and keep it concise and entertaining nonetheless. But first, sweet baby Jesus, Starbucks Holiday Blend Coffee. You are my favorite thing ever. Um, I'm just in a giddy mood, alright? Rome is probably one of my favorite subjects to read about. There's so many books on Rome. Um, just fantastic. You know, it's a fantastic thing. Um, and I just wanted to. I don't know. I just fucking love Rome. Um, so we're just gonna get right into it. Ancient Rome was a civilization that began in Italy as early as the 8th century BC, and it expanded to become one of the largest empires in the ancient world, with an estimated 50 to 90 million people, which at the time was roughly 20% of the world's population, and it covered 2.5 million square miles during its height to power. I don't want to say popularity because it wasn't very popular. Um, just during its height between the first and second century AD, um, it shifted in its 12 centuries of existence from monarchy to republic and then to an autocratic empire. And it came to dominate southern and western Europe, Asia Minor, North Africa, as well as parts of northern and eastern Europe. Um, it had a lot of great things that it contributed to modern times: modern government, law, politics, engineering, art, literature, architecture, technology, war, religion, language, society. A lot of the stuff that we see now is because of Rome. And it's just there's a lot of stuff that we've gotten from Rome and the Roman Empire. Um, According to, I don't know, the myth, I guess, um, Rome was founded on April 21st, 753 BC, by twin brothers named Romulus and Remus, who are descended from the Trojan prince Aeneas, and who were grandsons of the Latin king Numitor of Alba Longa. King Numitor was deposed from his throne by his brother Emilius, while Numitor's daughter Rhea Silvia gave birth to the twins. Because she was raped and impregnated by Mars, the Roman god of war, the twins were considered half divine. The new king feared Romulus and Remus would take back the throne, so he ordered them to be drowned. And a she-wolf, or a shepherd's wife in some accounts, saved them and raised them. When they were old enough, they returned the throne of Alba Longa to Numitor. The twins then founded their own city, but Romulus killed Remus in a fight over the location of the Roman kingdom, though some sources state the quarrel was about who was going to rule or give his name to the city. Romulus became the source of the city's name. In order to attract people to the city, Rome became a sanctuary for the indigents, the exiled, and the unwanted. And this caused a problem for Rome, which had a large workforce but was bereft of women. Um, Romulus traveled to the neighboring towns and tribes and attempted to secure marriage rights, but as Rome was so full of undesirables, they all refused. Legend says that the Latins invited the Sabines to a festival and stole their unmarried maidens, leading to the integration of the Latins and the Sabines. Another legend recorded by the Greek historian Dionysius said that Prince Aeneas led a group of Trojans on a sea voyage to found a new Troy, since the original was destroyed during the Trojan War. After a long time at sea, they landed at the banks of the Tiber River. Not long after they landed, the men wanted to take to the sea again, but the women who were traveling with them didn't want to leave. One woman, named Roma, suggested that the women burn the ships out at sea to prevent them from leaving. At first, the men were angry with Roma, but they soon realized that they were in the ideal place to settle, and they named the settlement after the women who torched their ships. The Roman poet Virgil recounted this legend in his epic poem, the Aeneid. In the Aeneid, the Trojan prince Aeneas is destined by the gods in his enterprise of founding a new Troy. In the epic, the women also refused to go back to sea, but they were not left on the Tiber. After reaching Italy, Aeneas, who wanted to marry Lavinia, was forced to wage war with her former suitor, Turnus. According to the poem, the Alban kings were descended from Aeneas, and so Romulus, the founder of Rome, was his descendant. The city of Rome grew from settlements around a ford on the Tiber River, which was a crossroad for traffic and trade. According to archaeological evidence, the village of Rome was probably founded sometime in the 8th century BC, though it may go back as far as the 10th century BC by members of the Latin tribe of Italy on top of the Palatine Hill. The Etruscans, who had previously settled to the north of Etruria, seem to have established political control in the region by the late 7th century BC, forming the aristocratic and monarchical elite. The Etruscans apparently lost power in the area by the late 6th century BC, and at this point, the original Latin and Sabine tribes reinvented their government by creating a republic, with much greater restraints on the ability of rulers to exercise power. Roman tradition and archaeological evidence point to a complex within the Forum Romanum as the seat of power for the king and the beginning of the religious center there as well. Numa Pompilius was the second king of Rome, succeeding Romulus, and he began building projects in Rome with his royal prince and the Regia and the complex of the Vestal Virgins. Now, before there was a Roman Republic, there was a Roman kingdom. And that was between the years 753 BC and 509 BC. The siting of the founding of the Roman kingdom was on the Tiber River, and it could be crossed from the Palatine Hill and the hills surrounding it. And they presented easily defensible positions in the wide fertile plains surrounding them all. And all of those features contributed to the success of the city. The traditional account of the history of Rome, which has come down through us through Levi, through Plutarch, through Dionysius, and others, is that in Rome's first centuries it was ruled by a succession of 7 kings. The traditional chronology, as handed down by Varro, allots 243 years for their reigns, an average of almost 35 years. Since the work of Barthol George Niebuhr has been generally discounted by modern scholars, the Gaius destroyed, the Gauls actually destroyed much of Rome's historical records when they sacked the city after the Battle of Alea in 390 BC. Veronian, according to Polybius, the battle occurred between 387 and 386. And what was left was eventually lost to time or theft, with no contemporary records of the kingdom existing at all, and all accounts of the kings must be carefully questioned. This is just an intro episode, kind of get your teeth wet, kind of give you a little tease, just put the tip in. And we'll get into the monarchy and what made up the monarchy. We'll get into the legendary kings. We'll get into the public offices after the monarchy. But definitely stick around. This episode and this whole series actually is going to be very entertaining. I'm beyond happy to be able to share my passion with you guys. So appreciate you listening, and take care of yourself and each other.